Okay, so we're at 2:02. So let's get going. Thank you again, everybody, for being here with me. And like I said, I'm so excited and for you trusting me. And so one of the things is, why me? Why am I the one that's sharing this with you? And a couple of reasons is I'm both child. You know, I was a kid once. I know all of you were kids once. And I was a child with a BFRB. And I'm also a parent of someone with a BFRB. So I know what it's like from both perspectives. And I've sat down with hundreds of you, teams of parents and children, helping them get their Keen bracelets set up. And through doing all of that, I was able to, one, learn a lot about parents and what they're going through with their kids and what I've gone through, and be able to share some insight. And so I do want to share just a little bit more about my story. I started pulling my hair when I was 11. And I was outside, it was gym class, and I was neither popular nor sporty. And so I was probably just playing with my hair, and I was nervous. And I pulled one out, and I got this zing feeling. So I, wow, this is kind of cool. And I'm 11, I had no idea, I have no perspective. And so I just started pulling behind my ears. And then my mom took me to the hairdresser. And you know how what the hairdressers do, right? They go like this and they go like this. And Fatima, I still remember her name, spied 2 bald spots behind both my ears. And she calls my mother over. Sandy, come quick. There's something wrong with Ellen. Wrong with Ellen. What's wrong with Ellen? What's wrong with you? And so I look up at them scared and terrified. And I lied. And I said, Ann Sino put gum in my hair and I had to pull it out. And they were satisfied with that. And I was terrified. Like, I'll never do that again. Well, you know how that went, right? 4 decades later. But all I heard was I was wrong. And fast forwarding just a little bit, to May of 2017, as Anil has said, I'm binge watching TV and I'm pulling and going crazy. And 3 hours go by. And so I start Googling what's the latest in BFRBs or trichotillomania, expecting nothing. And an ad pops up for Keen. So I buy the 2 bracelets. I bought 2 because I pull with both hands. And not only did Keen help me take control of my BFRB and discover my awareness, but within a month, I called them up and said, I want to work with you and help others the way you've helped me. And so Keen really, and HabitAware, has changed my life twice. I'm able to be in control of my behavior. And I'm also now have a job where I get to work with people like you all the time. And I just love it. So that's why it's me. That's why I'm sharing this with you. And this webinar is for you, supporting you. You have to put your mask on before you help others. You have to fuel yourselves up. A depleted parent, as most of you are probably feeling now, being inside, is no good for anybody. So you have to fuel yourself up before you can fuel anybody else up. So this webinar is not going to give you a specifics on do this and your child will stop doing that. This webinar is going to support you on how you can support your child. And this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what are BFRBs and what they are not. And the reason that is so important is because you can't tackle something or understand something without being educated on it. If your child had a learning disability, which actually one of my children does, you would research about that. You would find out what to do. You can't just fix it. You have to know about it. And it's very important to also know what BFRBs are not. Otherwise, again, you won't be able to help. We're also going to talk again about you. How does your child's BFRB affect you? And I know it does, because my child's BFRB affects me. When I see Rachel with her hands in her mouth, and especially now with COVID-19, all I want to do is say, get your hands out of your mouth. But that doesn't work because it makes things worse. But it affects me. So we need to talk about that. And we're going to also talk about how to nurture a growth mindset so that you do have the strength to move on. And we're going to talk about some strategies. All right, so let's begin with what are BFRBs? So BFRB stands for body focused repetitive behaviors. And so what does that mean? That means anything that we do with our bodies. Usually it's the hands. Just real briefly, another BFRB could be biting the inside of your mouth. My other daughter, the youngest one, chews her tongue. My oldest bites her nails. But BFRBs are we're going to talk about hair pulling. We're going to talk about skin picking. Whoops, let's go up there. Skin picking and nail biting. So BFRBs affect 1 in 20. And what happens is we have this need or this urge to pull our hair or pick our skin or bite our nails, and we want to stop, but we're unable to stop. And that's really what the crux of a body focused repetitive behavior is. It's also I don't want to get into why we have these disorders, but I want to tell you more about the what. So these are coping mechanisms. They're self-soothing. They help us calm our bodies down when we feel nervous or anxious. It helps us concentrate. It helps us rev us up. There's different reasons that we do this, and everybody has a different one for why they have this disorder. And again, 1 in 20, it typically presents, for your parents out there, it typically presents in early adolescence, right around puberty. You'll see that's not always the case. Sometimes they can present earlier or they can present later. It's more common in girls than boys, especially after puberty. But a lot of this is self-reported, and a lot of times people don't want to report that they have this disorder. So in general, body-focused repetitive behaviors are self-soothing, they're coping mechanisms, it helps calm us down, and we're doing something specific with our restless hands that make us feel better. So I'm going to also now spend some time on what BFRBs are not, because this is super important. BFRBs are not self-harm. They're very, very different. And the reason why this matters is because the treatment is different. BFRBs are self-soothing. They're not self-harm. It's very different from somebody who's causing themselves harm. Now, it doesn't mean that there can't be some things that are commingled. You could have a BFRB and you could also have another disorder, just like you can have allergies and you can have diabetes. You can have allergies. You can also have a cold. But they're treated differently. You can have allergies and you can have strep throat. Again, they're treated differently. So they are also not OCD. While BFRBs fall under the category of OCD, they're not OCD, but they are part of, if you could see here, BFRBs are related, they fall under related disorders. And again, why does this matter? It matters because the treatment is different. The other thing too is it's very important for you to know that BFRBs is not yours to control. It's your child's to control. It's your role to support your child, and we'll get into that. And also very important is it's not your fault. It's not your fault. I had a mom say to me, is it my fault? Is my child doing this because of me? She's doing this because she wants to get back at me. And I can tell you that's not why a child is doing this. So let's move on to one of the very important questions I get all the time. And I ask myself, why can't my child just stop? Why? Why can't we just stop? And I guess what? If your child could just stop, we wouldn't be here. And we all know that. But it's still a hard thing to try to wrap your arms around. Why can't my child just stop? I think what we need to do is we need to change that question. Why can't my child not manage his or her BFRB? What's going on? Why can't he do that? And then you've got to ask yourself some of these questions. And these are really hard questions. One, does my child want to change? Before behavior change can happen, you have to want to change. And so for me, I'll give you an example. I love ice cream with dark chocolate sauce and walnuts, right? And it's okay to eat that. There's nothing wrong with that, but I shouldn't eat it every day. It's not good for my brain. It's not good for my skin. It's not good for my belly. It's just not good to have every day. So at 10 o'clock, I can decide in the morning, I'm going to change. I'm not going to have it every day. But at 10 p.m. at night, sometimes that's hard and the change goes away. Change is not linear. But then the other question you need to ask yourselves, parents, does my child want to change, or am I the one that wants to change my child? And that's a really hard question. And that's something that you need to think about. And then, what is my child ready to change? Again, change is not linear. Maybe your child is not ready for change, because BFRBs serve a purpose. And I know I've been in that position where I didn't want to change. I was able to hide my BFRB. It served a purpose. No one knew I was pulling. I knew I was pulling. I just wasn't ready. And then ask yourself, am I ready to support my child? And then how can I support my child on my BFRB journey? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's do it. Let's talk about that journey. We're going to talk about the journey from hurting to healing. And it all starts with self-love. And that means you loving yourself. You cannot love anybody else until you love yourself. And you need to fill up your tank before you can support your child. Because as we said, depleted parents are no good. So take breaks and rinse and repeat and find what fuels you up. This will help you no matter what's going on in your life. It could be your child's BFRB. It could be that they're going to extend, if they extend social distancing. It could be if we have issues with our jobs. Could be having a loved one that's sick. It doesn't matter. We need to fuel ourselves up. And how do we do that? And here's some ways. I love to exercise. That's a big thing for me. Anila does prayer. I work on meditation every day. Maybe it's massages. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's friends. Maybe you need therapy. Sometimes we all do. So write them down. Think about what is it that's going to fuel you up so that you're there ready to help others. Then let's talk about your children. The children, it's so important that we love the qualities and admire the qualities of our child and write them down. We don't love our children because of their hair and their skin and their nails. We love our children for other reasons. And here's my list. And I try to think about these all the time. I love my child because she's got an amazing sense of humor. And she really has a love for learning, and she's creative. And when she has that belly laugh, it just makes me smile. And she's got a wicked ability to make friends. And boy, does she have grit. She's 5 feet tall and on a good day. And in ninth grade, which was about 5 or 6 years ago, she wanted to try out for the volleyball team. So she had a group that she could be part of when she walked into high school. 5 foot of her all went to volleyball. We practiced. We took lessons beforehand. She took camps beforehand. She went to tryouts. And they didn't accept her. And they decided she could be manager and she could still practice with the team. And she was devastated. She was just devastated. I don't want to do it. And then she thought about it and she decided, all right, I'm going to do it, Mom. I'm going to do it because I can practice with the team. And what happened is, at the end of the season, the manager said to her, you know what, Rachel, my biggest mistake was not putting you on this team. And all 5 foot of her, for the rest of the high school years, she made the volleyball team and she made varsity and she rocked it. But it wasn't easy. It was hard. And she's the one who decided that she was going to do something. I didn't decide it. She decided it. And that goes for BFRBs. So we need to, as parents, we need to have strength, and we need to recognize the uncontrollables, because there's things we cannot control. And when we feel out of control, our stress response gets elevated, and that makes things much, much, much harder to do. So recognize those things you can't control. You can't control COVID-19. You can't control the weather. You cannot control how others react to your child's BFRB, and you cannot control your child's BFRB. You can't. But here's what you can do. Turn your attention towards what you can control. It could be something big, it could be something small. Controlling just getting out of bed, can be the biggest thing that's a win for you in one day. And that's okay, because you're doing it. You can't control the pandemic, but you can control washing your hands. You can't control the weather, but you can control what you put on when you walk outside. You can't control what others say about anybody, about you, but you can control how you react. And you can't control your child's BFRB, but you can control how you offer support. So let's talk about how to do that. And that's with awareness. Again, we can't, there's certain things we can't control, and we can't control our thoughts. But we can control the power that our thoughts have over us. So you need to be aware of your thoughts. And this is where you're going to develop your awareness is, why isn't my child doing X? Be aware of that thought. And then what's happening inside you? Be aware of what's going on. Is my back getting tense? Am I getting sweaty? Am I getting angry? Am I starting to heat up? What's going on? And then name it. Oh my gosh, I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm worried. I'm embarrassed. These are all natural feelings, and you are allowed to feel all these things, and you can't push them down. If you push them down, then you'll never feel joy. You'll never feel happiness. It's okay to feel what you're feeling. Name it. It takes the power. You could take the power back. Now, I'm not a therapist. I'm just a mom. And I'm just someone who grew up with these BFRBs, but I'm someone who reads a lot, and I talk to therapists, and I gain a lot of knowledge. And one of the things I learned, which is a little bit different, but I want to bring it up, about panic attacks, is I've learned that if you name something, it takes the power away. So when someone's having a panic attack, a very good doctor said to me, name it. Oh, I'm having a panic attack. Just like, oh, I've got a cold. Name it. If you name it, it takes the power away. So parents, you have those feelings. I had a parent email me, I get angry when my child pulls her hair after it started to grow in. What do I do? How do I stop being angry at her? You can't. You are angry. But if you notice you're angry, then take those feelings and then make a plan. Worry deflates us, but planning empowers us. So what are you going to do or say when blank happens? What are you going to do or say when your daughter pulls her hair after it's grown in? What are you going to do when your son comes out of his bedroom with half an eyebrow? What are you going to do when there's a bleeding blood on the sheets? And remember, you can only control you. Write it down. What I do when I see my daughter biting her nails and having her hands in her mouth is I look away. I truly do. I look away and I take 3 long deep breaths, and that settles me so that then I can decide how I'm going to support her if she even wants it, and how I'm going to support myself. And a lot of that comes from mindset. And this is not easy. Carol Dweck has coined the term growth mindset. So let me just take a minute or two on this. So there's mindset, there's fixed, and there's growth. So a fixed mindset is when we believe that our basic qualities are fixed. I'm never going to be good at math. I am only good at English and creative writing, so I'm staying away from the STEM stuff because I just can't do that. I'm never going to be able to do that. I'm never going to be able to stop doing my BFRB. But the growth mindset is when we believe we can improve. So it's, well, I'm not good at math yet, or I'm not good at helping my child with her BFRB yet, or I can't change them, but I can love them and read and research and make a plan for myself so I can learn better how to control them. And this, again, this isn't linear. We go throughout the day with a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, and a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. But be aware and notice where you are so that you can start to nurture and develop. So let's change the conversation, and we're going to talk a little bit about Keen, and then we're going to get into some strategies on how you can support your kids. So one of the best things about Keen, which is a tool, if I've met some of you, I saw some of your names when you signed up, and so we've done some training, so you know me. Keen's a screwdriver. It's a tool. It's how you use it, but it helps empower your child and change the conversation. So Keen is going to be your child's alarm or self-care alarm, not you. So when they get the vibration and they learn to put their hands down, instead of you telling them, Keen is their angel, it's their guard, it's their hug, it's their tool to help them. And then as parents, you want to focus on the effort that your child's putting in, not the behavior. I put this screen up here, and some of you might know, we're going to get into training Keen in just a second. You can focus on the, instead of focusing on, did you pull today or did you pick today? Your child, when they do engage in their behavior, if they gently press the button on the side of their bracelet, it'll start to track when they did their behavior. So you can focus on the data and dig into that and make a plan. You can make a plan. Okay, I noticed on Tuesday, you pressed the button 20 times, but on Wednesday it was 40 times. What do you think's going on, and what can I do to support you? So let's take a few minutes, and I know you guys have put in some questions, and they're going to pop right up on the screen. So what we're going to do is go through those at the end. And again, I promise you, I will answer your questions either here, or we can always do it through email after. But let's talk about Keen. So Keen, it's just like when you buy a house or an apartment, or you want to go somewhere, it's all about location, location, location. And Keen is all about training, training, training. So the way Keen works is three main things. And I'm going to show you my behavior. You're training Keen for the precursor. So this is my precursor of what I do. It's not my big pulling motion, it's just my scanning motion. So when I'm training Keen for 25 seconds with the app, one of the things Keen's sensing, because it doesn't have eyes, is direction of this silver module. So this is diagonal, my direction is this way, which is different than if I was training it for pulling up here, the direction is this way. The other thing that it's sensing is wrist movement. So what is my wrist doing? My wrist is going up and down. So the direction and the movement. My daughter is writing her nails, her direction, her movement. Anila with her eyelashes and eyebrows, direction and movement. And then the third thing is frequency. How frequent is my wrist going up and down in a 25-second period? So we have direction, we have movement, and we have frequency. And then it creates what I call a guard. So that when I'm going about my day and doing my thing, Keen's not vibrating now because there's no movement. But it's vibrating now because there is movement. There's movement and frequency. And then it's like this awesome, amazing hug on my wrist, which we're going to talk about next. So if any of you out there are having trouble training Keen, email me, ellen@habitaware.com. We'll set up a video chat. We'll get you set up. So let's talk about best practices. So with Keen, and this is developing awareness muscle, is you want to start with one Keen. I bought 2 when I first got mine. 1, 2. You want to train one area. I trained 4, 4. Don't do that. And then you want to try that out for about a week before you add on. And you want to train the precursor. That's the biggest, most important thing, is when I first got mine, I trained the big sweeping motions. I trained all over. I was kind of pissed off. I couldn't train 5 areas. So then I got on a FaceTime because I was vibrating all over the place in the wrong places at the wrong time. And I learned one area, one Keen, 1 week. And it was like magic for me. But what really, really, really helped was every time I got that vibration, I associated it with a hug on my wrist, something that brings me joy. And every time I got that hug, I said to myself, hey, Ellen, you're a rock star. You're building your awareness muscle. You don't have to do this. Put your hands down. And then we'll get into what to do with those hands in a moment. So with your child, what's their vibration going to be? Is it going to be a hug? I had one child. I love this. I hope they're on the call. It was her LOL dolls. So every time she got the vibration, it was her LOL dolls singing to her that she's a rock star. I had another little boy, it was his Legos. And I had another girl, it was her superhero. So whatever it is, whatever brings them joy, let them decide. Whatever this vibration is, it's an awesome thing instead of a negative thing. It's an awesome thing. So let's get into the behavior for just a second. So Anil and I are really love to say that being pull or pick free does not mean freedom. It can be impossible to be pick and pull free. Everybody picks. But our goal should be, and your child's goal should be, to pick and pull less. That's the best thing. Because the more we pick and pull less, the more we pick and pull less, the more we pick and pull less. It's like success breeds success. Activity breeds activity. So you really want to focus on that. And instead of focusing on, did you pick today? Did you pull today? You really want, as parents, want to focus on encouraging the progress. So instead of saying, yeah, you got an A on your chemistry test, yay, you did. I saw you worked so hard and you studied for so long and you did this and you did that. Focus on the process, not what the outcome is. So this is a question I get a lot. All right, so I have Keen, now what? What do I do? Well, this is the crux of everything. This is your child's journey. So you need to ask your child, what can I do to help you? So I did that with my daughter, Rachel, and because she bites her nails. And I always, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. Rachel, take your hands out of your mouth. Oh, I shouldn't have said it. So I asked her, what do you want me to do? And you know what? She's 19. She said, I don't want you to do anything. Don't comment. Don't say anything. This is up to me. And that's what I did. I let her, I had no choice, because the more I pushed, the more she pushed and the more she bit. And I work for HabitAware. So I'll share with you that one day she came to me and she said, Mom, I think I'm ready to wear a Keen. And so I followed her direction and helped her based on what she needed. And I listened to her and let her take the lead. Now, I'm also going to share something with you. I'm a 54-year-old woman, and my other daughter was noticing I was playing with my hair. And so she says to me, Mom, what are you doing? Mom, stop. I don't like that. I don't want that. Don't tell me to stop. And that's how Rachel feels. So what I said to my other daughter, Julia, is please don't tell me to stop, but this is what you can do to help support me. Just say, hi, Mom, with your biggest smile, because that's what I'm okay with. So she listened to me, and that's what she does. So if she sees me doing this, she just says, hi, Mom. So ask your child, what can I do to help you? And then listen and allow your child to take the lead. Love your child with your whole heart as they stumble and find their way, because they will, and you will too, and it's okay. And then praise the practice, praise the effort, praise what they're doing, the progress. Progress makes practice. And then as parents, ask for help. You might need help. Your daughter might need help. Your son might need help. And Keen works really well in conjunction with therapy. And if you have therapists out there, if you wonder what therapist to use, you can reach out. I'd be delighted to tell you who I know. And if you're working with a therapist, let me know. I'll give them information about Keen so that they know about best practices. And then rinse and repeat, because some things that work today might not work tomorrow. And so some things that work tomorrow will be awesome. Just keep a list, because you might rinse and repeat them. So let's talk about strategies, because one size does not fit all. And you can only change you. You cannot force your child to change. And you might need to take that deep look in. Am I the one that wants my child to change? Is it me and they don't want to change and they're not ready? Or does my child want to change? And the approach is going to be different for each child and each parent. And the answers are going to be different for each child and each parent, depending on the child's age, their personality, what their BFRB is, how mild it is, how severe it is. But this is an opportunity for you to work with your child and together to see, what does support look like? What do they want from you to help them? So I'm going to give you some examples that I have learned from the field. So one of them is, maybe you and your child, your kid just wants you to say, "Hi, daughter," and give them a big smile like I do. Or maybe it's redirecting them. So when your child isn't engaging in their BFRB, you hand them something, and maybe that's what they want. It could be just engaging in conversation. Your child, one of the things with BFRBs is we get into a trance and we think, we don't realize we're doing it. And maybe your child is down here doing homework because they're concentrating and they're pulling on their eyelashes and eyebrows. And maybe what your son would want them to do is to just engage them in conversation for a second and go, "Hey, son, tell me again about that awesome book you're reading." So it just breaks them out of the trance. It could be, I have another family, and what they did is they came up with a code word, and it was sassafras, and I thought that was awesome. And that made them feel good. So every time the parent noticed the child, they would just say sassafras. It made them laugh. It could be putting a glass of water in front of your child while they're doing homework. It could be offering a hand massage, or maybe saying, "Hey, you know what, could you set the table now?" Whatever it is, you want to make sure you want to have that conversation with the child is what will make them feel empowered, what will make them feel good, what will they enjoy, and you don't want to do things that are going to annoy them, because it's just going to make things, for both of you, it's going to make things worse. So let's talk a little bit about some more strategies. So one of the things could be together that you prepare the environment. So there are different kinds of pickers and pullers. We have focused and we have automatic. So an automatic puller or picker might be somebody who, like me, I'm mostly automatic. I do some focused, where I don't realize, but I'm concentrating on something and I start to do my behavior, and that's automatic. A focused puller would be somebody who grabs those tweezers. They can't wait. They're so excited. They're going to go in the bathroom and they're going to fix those eyebrows. And they think they're going into the bathroom for 5 minutes, but because we get into this trance-like state, we're in the bathroom for 55 minutes. And I'm sure parents out there, they know when the son or daughter goes into the bathroom and they close the door, that could be a danger zone. So together, what can you do in environments like that? One is cover the mirrors with art. I have a mom and daughter who created all these wonderful art projects, and they just lined the mirror with them. Another one wrote inspirational messages and put them on the mirror and the walls. A great one is to install dimmers, because if you can't see that, if it's not that bright, dimmers is a great thing to have. Get rid of the magnifying mirrors. We don't need them. Have a timer. Have your child pick out one that they love, and it stays in the bathroom or wherever their spot is. And when they walk into the bathroom, they set the timer for 5 minutes, and they make it a game to beat the timer. They're focusing on the timer instead of focusing on, "Ooh, I just saw myself in the mirror. I need to get that." And the other thing is, if someone's using implements or tools like tweezers, get rid of them. Sometimes it's hard to get rid of them. I was on the phone with someone last night. She said, "Oh my God, I can't get rid of the tweezers. There's no way." So, okay, maybe you take those tweezers and you put them in a Tupperware, and you fill that Tupperware with water, and you stick it in the freezer, and you freeze those tweezers. So when you want to go grab them, you have to defrost them first. So then there's time there. So let's go on to one of my other all-time favorite strategies. It's called the Paws Pack. And what that is when we're engaging in our BFRB, and this is something that your child will create, you create a pack of joy. Here's my pack of joy. and you put it in a Ziploc bag or you put it in a shoebox and they can decorate it, whatever it is. It's a pack of things that bring them joy. So when I notice that I'm coming up here, this is one of my favorite things, is my little fur ball. Love it. Love my fur ball. So my fur ball's in here. I love pencil erasers. So I have a pencil in here, hair ties, lip gloss or chapstick, and cuticle oil. These are the things that bring me joy. So here's some examples of things that might bring your child joy. And again, your child should be the one that creates this. It could be silly putty, could be erasers, it could be fidget cubes. And remember, these things are tactile. So sometimes someone wants a smooth rock or they want a rock that's kind of got some bumpy things on them. But these are awesome because there's a lot of power in the pause. When you pause, after you get that awareness, you can notice, where am I? What am I doing? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? And then you can make adjustments based on the answers to those questions. And this is something your child will do. But if you're in the know, it's something you can explore with them on doing. So for example, bedtime and reading is an area where I would grab my hair. So I literally go to bed with hair ties. I just have them on my hands because I know I want to read my book. And if I'm catching myself and it's 11:30 at night, I turn off the light and I go to bed. But if I catch myself at 11:30 a.m., I'm not going to go to bed. But maybe what I do is I get up and stretch, or I take a walk up and down my flight of steps, or I get a glass of water. So these are things that your child is going to discover based on pausing. So create a pause pack with them and keep them in all different places. Keep it by the couch, keep it by whatever school desk you made for them, keep it in the rooms, put it in the bathroom, and experiment and see what works. And this is a journey. I have a favorite Pilates instructor. And if anybody is interested in doing online Pilates, email me. I'll send you her info. She's doing online classes. She's amazing. And what she says is, if you're doing a posture and it hurts, you're probably doing the wrong thing. And the solution is to put your shoulders down or to move your leg this way. There's a solution for everything. You just have to be aware enough to choose it. And for you as parents, there is a solution for you. You cannot decide for your child when they're ready. You cannot decide for your child how they're going to cope. You can only decide for you. And it's hard, but it's doable. And you just have to be aware. You need to help yourself. And by the way, with these, I'll send them out to everybody. You need to help yourself early and often, all the time. You need to listen to your child. Always listen. If they feel empowered, if they feel listened to, if they feel that the choice is theirs, it'll be awesome because they'll want to do it. And then make a plan on how you as the parent are going to do 1 and 2. And then tweak them because things change. And love 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 unconditionally your child. Remind yourself what are the things are you love about your child. When your child's hands go up and you feel that anxiety, remember why you love your child, and it'll help you. And then make a plan. So there are 21 questions in my chat, and I am so excited. And we have 20 minutes, so I'm going to pull it down. And this is my very first webinar. So also, before I get there, because you guys are going to see all the chats, so I hope you said nice things, because you're going to see my screen. But the other thing I want to know, and I'm going to email this out, you can put it in the chat, is, was this helpful? And do you want more? Do you want me to do another webinar maybe on ages 5 to 7, and then, or 5 to 9, and 10 to 12, or 14 and 14 to 18, because they are different. Working with someone who's 19 is very different than working with someone who's 9. And here's my other questions. We are a small and mighty organization, and we love you and we love what we do, but we're little, you know, there's like 6, 7, 8 of us. So I'm wondering, if we did ongoing webinars, would you pay for them? And if you would, how much to support HabitAware? And you can email me there. So these are some questions that I have. And now I'm going to pull down this chat, and it's going to open up. And here is, and Anila might have sent me some things. And I don't think I can pull it. Oh, you know what? There I go. I can pull it over here. So if anybody decided to swear at me, which I'm sure you didn't, we won't see it. All right. So let's see. My six.
Ellen, just so you know, I have been trying to answer some questions in the chat typing, but please go ahead and add your experience.
Okay. Awesome. 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 All right. So I'm going to read some of these out. And again, I'm not a therapist, so some of these I might suggest that you go and talk to a therapist. But here we go. So my 16-year-old daughter was initially excited to use the bracelet, but after setup got so many false positives that she lost her motivation. Please help and make recommendations about how to fine-tune and avoid false positives. That is huge. And that is very, very, very common, and it's all in the training. So what I would recommend, especially since she's 16, is she can set up a session with me, and she and I can do it together without mom and dad, if that's okay with you. And I can show her how to fine tune. And what I will do is a webinar or a Zoom video, and I will train Keen and show you guys how to fine tune it, because it's all in the training. And I'll make a video and I'll send it out. But it is doable. And let me also mention this, that it's sort of 80%. If we feel 80% good 80% of the time, that's a win. So if people are getting 80% what I'll call spot on vibrations, they come up here, you get the vibration, yay, I got my hug, hands down. If you get 20% false vibrations, I would consider those really just alerts of where your hands are. And I'm okay with 20%. I'm okay that if I do this and I get a vibration, then I just kind of come down here and then it goes away. And I'm okay with that. Or I just do this or do this. But if I get 50%, that's no fun, because then it doesn't help you. And we can help you with that. So just email me right down here. You see my email address. We'll set you up. Okay, so I just got the product a few days ago. Will there be a delay in getting it because of current conditions? That's a great question.
And I answered that one in the chat.
Oh, good. Awesome.
So
Awesome.
we did move to a shortened schedule of shipping just because of COVID and trying to reduce going out. So we're now shipping 2 days a week. And I think, you know, as long as the United States Postal Service is okay. So Samir is actually in the room. He's letting me know that the USPS is a little bit slow right now. So it might take a little bit of time, but know that every order is tracked with a barcode. And so you will get an email notifying you when the product is out the door to you and when it's kind of on its way. And when it arrives as well, you'll get that email notification. So you can see it sitting on your porch and probably wait another day or two before you bring it inside.
Okay, so another one. My daughter has had the bracelets for over 2 years now. In terms of effectiveness, the bracelets have been very helpful, but lately I've noticed that they are less effective and she seems to ignore the buzz. How can I help? That's a great question. I would ask her, and a lot of this will be based on her age, I would probably ask her, hey, daughter, would you like me to reach out to HabitAware and find out if there's something we can do? Would you like to do that? Can I help you? And ask her what she would like. It could be that she seems to ignore the buzz because she's just at that moment doesn't want to focus on it. Could be. That's a really hard question to know without knowing a little bit more.
It's also important to remember that the vibration is a cue to do something else. So if it's been working for her to stop doing the behavior, but she hasn't taken that next step of learning to replace the behavior, that's where the the sort of like the critical moment of helping actually retrain the brain. Because again, as Ellen was saying before, these are soothing mechanisms. These are our brain wanting to feel some sort of simulation of feeling better, right? To self-soothe in the moment. So if we're not still giving the brain something that it enjoys, then it's still going to, that track is still going to be there. So by learning to replace the behavior with things from the Paws Pack or you know, deep breathing, meditation, drinking water, that will help her really build that awareness to the point where she won't need the bracelet anymore to remind her that it's happening.
Yeah, thank you, Anila. That's very, very good point. And I appreciate that. Let's see, here's another one. I have and Anila, if I'm repeating something that's answered, just chime in, I know you will. I have a question off the first one. My daughter got used to the vibration and then it became ineffective. Have taken a break from it and hope when we start up again, she'll be ready. Any tips? It's really very similar to what Anila had said before. And some of it is the readiness to change. So taking a break, I think, is really smart because sometimes you need to take a break from things and then maybe you start fresh. And fresh could be, you know, having a call with me on training it and then deciding what this vibration is going to mean. So let me also explain too, for people who have BFRBs, we feel terrible. We feel like we feel like, I'll speak for myself. I feel like I suck. I feel like this is how I used to feel, that I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. Why can't I stop? What's wrong with me? Why am I doing this? I'll never do it again. 14 hairs just came out and I said I was never going to do it again 2 minutes ago. And it's this just thought process of what is wrong with me? And there's nothing wrong with me. If I had diabetes and my sugar went up, you know, I can't control my pancreas on my own without any tools, but I can control with awareness and with the wanting to change, with awareness, and then replacing the behavior and switching my mindset. This is a huge mindset shifter, huge. Every time you get that hug, oh my God, strengthening my awareness muscle. If I went to the gym or if I do Pilates and I do one class, I ain't going to be flexible right away. I'm not going to be strong right away. It takes practice. Practice takes progress. And this is what your daughter's practicing for. She's practicing her awareness to switch her mindset to grab onto something else. And it also can be things that wax and wane, just like our moods wax and wane. We can wake up and feel sad about COVID, worried, exhausted. Then all of a sudden something changes and we feel hopeful and we feel energized, and then something changes. That's just what happens. And we need to keep moving forward. Let's see here. Here's another one. I'm going to go to, since Anila had done the ones to everyone, I'm going to do the private ones. I'm also trying to, okay, that's Anila. Let's see, private, so not everybody saw. Because Anila was going through all of these as well. Okay. All right, here's a new message. Good. Let's see. I would also be interested in a safe chat space for teens. I contacted our local chapter of the National Association of Mental Illness, but they said they don't do anything for children under 18. There is an association out there that you may or may not know of, BFRB.org. B, Body Focused Repetitive Behaviors, BFRB.org. They're the National Nonprofit Association. They are doing online support groups for teens. So that would be a safe space. So I would recommend that.
And you can go to bfrb.org/events to find out all of their online support groups. And they're also doing a bunch of webinars right now to help people get through this stay in place, shelter in place time.
Right. And so please do that with Anila. The other thing, what Anila said is go to bfrb.org. And the other, you know, and I'll think about some other ideas and get back to you as well on some thoughts that might be useful.
Yeah,
and I would encourage, Anila?
Of interest, we would be interested in doing a session with kids too. So if that's something.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. So I would be interested in doing a session with kids. So I'll huddle up with Anila and figure out how we can do that. The other thing that's super powerful is most of us who have BFRBs have never met anyone else that's done it. I started pulling when I was 11. The first time I met anybody else who was like me, I was in my mid-30s. I went to a therapist-led support group, and it was so cathartic to be able to meet other people like me. When I do the one-on-one Keen trainings, a lot of times your kids are so excited to meet somebody who's also has the same behavior. So setting something up with me and training the Keen bracelets, and if you are comfortable doing, like, you can be there because it's good for you to know how to do it depending on your kid's age. You could also let me work with your kid without you, as long as you're comfortable with doing that. The other thing too, for those of you who have kids who are resistant, you can be empowered if you have the Keen bracelet. I'll show you. I'll show you how it works. We can just make a behavior. I'll walk you through it. You'll see how the numbers work, how you adjust it, and then you're in the know and you're empowered and you've made a plan. So that's something else you can do. I have parents who will have a Keen bracelet, their kid uses it, then they say, forget it, I don't want to use it anymore, and they put it away. And they might put it away for 6 months, 8 months, a year, and then it gets pulled out. So just remember that as well.
I wanted to bring, Joanne wrote, I'm still having a problem thinking this might be lifelong for my daughter. So here I would like to just recognize that, yes, BFRBs are a chronic condition, but they are absolutely manageable. Much in the same way that someone with diabetes needs to, finger prick and check their blood every day, make sure they're eating right, make sure they're exercising. If you have the right plan in place to build awareness of where your hands are, to practice replacing that behavior with healthier ones that are apropos for that moment, you can absolutely gain control and learn to manage the condition.
Yeah. And usually it can be lifelong. Again, there's mild, there's moderate, there's severe, and that you can have a combination of those throughout your lifetime, but you can manage it. And BFRBs tend to have a very high relapse rate. And sometimes someone will be pull-free for 2 weeks and think they're cured. That was me, maybe 20 years ago. Something happened and I didn't pull for 2 weeks. I don't know. And I thought I'll never do it again. And then, third week came and I did. But it is absolutely 100% manageable. And you have to remember what manage means. Just like Anila said, with diabetes, my mom became diabetic type 1 at age 65, which is a whole nother conversation. But she can manage her diabetes with insulin, diet, and exercise. Her blood sugar does go up and down, but she's able to manage it with exercise, diet, and insulin. I'm able to manage my BFRB with awareness, replacement strategies, and creating new, healthier habits. And I'm not 100% pull-free. And I don't need to be. I'm 95. Sometimes I'm 90. When we first got COVID, whoa, I had to bring my bracelets back out. But I knew what to do. I practice makes progress. So your daughter, who might have this for her life, will be able to have the tools now. I wish I had these tools when I was 11. I didn't get them until I was 52. So it is absolutely doable.
And the reality is, doing this work now, like Ellen's saying, at this young age, is going to set them up for when something, bad happens in their life. Like, for example, COVID. I could be pulling out my hair right now with all of the stress that I have on me right now. You can hear my children in the background. The house is a mess. I have work to do. I can't sleep. But I'm not, because I have been practicing my strategies for the last year, 2 years that I've been working on Keen and using Keen, that I'm finding ways to still stay in control of the behavior. Now, again, I'm not pull-free, because that pull-free is not freedom. I still find myself pulling a little bit here and there, but I am able to take control after a few hairs instead of after a whole eyebrow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I echo that. And that's how I can be too, is I can pull 2 or 3 or 4 and then realize and be done, where years ago before Keen, forget it. It'd be hours and I'd be in a trance-like state. There was a couple things here that and we are getting to the top of the hour. I do, and I'm happy to keep going another 10 minutes if people want to stay on, but I do want to be conscious and respect your time. I do want you to know that I will take all of your questions and put them into something and send it out. And I am going to ask you if you want to do more of these, and I'd be delighted to do more. Someone had asked if the phone needs to be with the child, and the answer is no. The phone only is needed with Bluetooth on to train the bracelet. Then you can go your separate ways and you don't need to worry about it. And there was another one here I wanted to address. Oh, someone had asked about medications. I am not a therapist, so I can't speak to the medication from a absolute therapeutic medical standpoint. I can tell you what evidence has been written up about is that psychiatric medications that they use for OCD and depression are not effective with BFRBs. But you could always check with your pediatrician to see if there's something that might be useful based on your particular child's situation. There is no cure for BFRBs. There is no medication out there that works for them. What the gold standard is habit reversal training and cognitive behavior therapy. And that's where Keen is helpful. Again, it's your tool because you can't change what you're not aware. And with these behaviors, what happens so often is awareness is slippery. We think we know. So many people told me, I don't need it. I know. I'm like, yeah, you know, but you don't know. Because again, you might think you're eating 15 tortilla chips, but you're really eating 115. This helps you really know where your hands are. And it's the feedback of the awesomeness, the hug on the wrist, the reminder, the cue. These behaviors are in our lizard brain, right? We don't know that we're doing them. We can't control our heartbeat. We can't control our pancreas. We can't control our digestion. This alert helps us take that feeling, the behavior, and put it in the frontal lobe. Oh, I'm doing it. Now I have a choice. Do I want to continue or not? Your child may choose to continue. They might choose to put their hands down. But this is an awesome cue that gets that message to the front of the brain so that you can make a decision on putting your hands down. And parents, you have to know that. And parents, it's super, super hard, but it is doable. All right, let's see here. A couple more messages. Thank you for thanking. People who are saying thank you, I love it. It makes me happy. Let's see. I'm just going through, let's see. There's so many great questions. Do you do seminars for adults? I would love to do a seminar for adults. Anil and I will huddle up.
And I've already committed in the comments to doing one, so.
Oh, okay, good.
We'll make it happen.
Anila, did you see anything else that I need to address? I'm like, I'm not good at multitasking.
My little one somehow disappeared, so let me see. There was seminar. Yeah, I think we'll try to do one for kids. We'll do one for adults. We'll keep this going for sure. Barbara asked, mentioned my grandson has ADHD and also has a BFRB, so it's harder because of the attention span. I don't know, Ellen, if you've done any trainings with parents with kids that have ADHD, but I can certainly understand how that could be adding to kind of the
it adds to the challenge.
The challenge?
It certainly does, and it's really going to be child to child dependent. For some kids with ADHD, it's awesome because it's an external stimulus that helps them realize where their hands are. For other kids with ADHD, it isn't. It really is going to depend on the child. And that's why with Keen, we do give, for those of you who don't have it, we give a 90-day money back guarantee because we realize that it doesn't suit everybody. And then that way you can get the training of Keen and the strategies in place, and we give you time to do that. we're very generous with that. Someone else asked if there's any correlation between BFRBs and sugar. There's been a lot of things I've read about that. I don't know for sure if you gave up sugar, if it would get rid of your BFRB. I would suspect the answer is no. So I don't have any hard information on that I can share. All right.
That's again something that building awareness of, tracking and seeing, is coffee making it worse or better? Is sugar making it worse or better? As we know, diet plays a role in a lot of our physical and mental health conditions. So, you know, if you are noticing a correlation, then just try cutting it out, or try reducing it, or try switching to vegetables, or finding other ways to you know, to just to watch your diet and see how it's affecting the behavior.
Great. Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's where tracking comes in, and it's really useful, is when you press the button on the side and you're able to track, then you can see the times of day. And journaling is really helpful too. For you as parents, again, you're not taking control, you're just supporting your child. So if you notice, gee, because you're in charge of the meals, that when they eat X, Y, and Z, this is what's happening. But if they eat this, this is what's happening. A lot of it is trial and error. The other thing too is it's a very tactile thing. Our fingertips are very, very sensitive. If with skin pickers, I find if there's a way when you're putting on lotions to do it, or even with your hair, to do it with your palms is better, because you don't get that, you can't feel as well with your palms as you do with your fingertips. And to really honestly, to just love your kids, love yourself first, love your kids second, and practice, try, rinse, repeat, and don't give up.
Now, Ellen, Diana has a question that says, how do you not make tracking your child feel like a test that they pass fail?
Oh, that's great. Well, that's a very good question. I would ask your child, can you tell us how old your child is? 11. Okay. I would ask your child, tracking, how do they want to do this? I really would. I would ask your 11-year-old, how do you, how can I support you? And I'd love to, like, would it be interesting to you if we kind of tracked, if you're thinking about food, what you're doing?
I
But
think also remember that there's power in the data, right?
yeah.
The data is going to show when it's happening. You know, the data is going to be able to then allow your child to start asking the hard questions of, what am I thinking right now? How am I feeling right now? What am I doing? Who am I with? Where am I? And the answers to those questions hold the clues to what the right replacement strategy is. The answers to those questions are basically what your brain is taking in, the inputs that your brain is using to say, I need to pull right now, I need to pick right now. And so if you know the answers to those questions, you can now use them to figure out a healthier soothing mechanism, so that there's power in the data. So it's all about shifting that conversation from, did you pull today, did you pick today, that shame and that blame, to, let's just check your keen stats, let's see what it can tell us. You know, I think taking that step back and looking at it from the perspective of a scientist, we're observing, we're not judging.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of it is how you present it. And part of it is it's how you present it and what you're using it for. And it's like, hey, you know, if your child wants to make a change, and you've together figured out ways that make them feel good and they're empowered, then they're more likely to participate, and they're more likely to feel encouraged and motivated by it. And it could be sometimes you don't want them to feel judged, and you don't want to jam anything down their throats, because it's just going to come back up. And having them be part of the solution is huge. and maybe asking, if we did this, what do you think if we did this, or do you think we should do this, or do you think we should do none of those? And then what do you think we should do? It's really exploring with them. And you can also sit back and be a scientist. Just make sure they don't know, make sure that you're not judging them, and make sure that you're not pointing it out, and kind of see what you think might be working and not working. All right, there's also, let's see, why don't we just do a couple more questions? So there's a lot of questions out there about NAC. And I know, Anelia, you just put a message out there that they should do their own research.
Yeah, so just know that people are finding it helpful. Some people are finding it not helpful.
Yeah.
Read the research. It's not an FDA approved, depending on whether you believe that matters or not.
Right.
Product, but it's still all about trying it, tracking it, see does it actually work, and being consistent. I personally tried it when I was in college after reading a little bit about it, and I saw no difference, but everyone is different.
And I agree with that. Everybody is different. I tried it as well. I actually did it with my internist. I wanted to make sure, and she told me how much to take or what level I could go up to, and I did, and it didn't work for me. Other people swear by it. I would probably check with your pediatrician, because this is something that you're putting into their body, to see if this would be useful. There was a couple things here about how your kids feel like they're the only ones, and they're not. And I know that's hard. And remember, you have perspective because you're older than them. We know a lot more because we're older. We have age. They don't. So they don't know that these things are going to not end, but that you can control certain things. 1 in 20 has it. It's probably higher because it's all self-reported and people don't want to admit it. And it's hard. It's hard because it's something that we see, and it's our hair, it's our hands, it's our hair, it's our skin, it's our nails. It's what makes us beautiful. And it's hard because it's also a self-soothing, self-coping, and enjoyable behavior. And then it gets in this cycle, this negative repeat cycle. I feel terrible. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And then we do it to make ourselves feel better. And it goes round and round and round and round. You want to break the cycle, but your kids have to be the ones that lead this. They have to lead the journey, and you're all along for the ride. And then they're going to choose, are you going to be co-pilot and help them out? Or are they going to stick you in the trunk because they don't want to hear from you? And just don't be a backseat driver, because that's not going to serve anybody. Just gently continue, probe, and gentle. How can I support you? I just want to support you. Maybe even pretend it is in your own mind when you're planning. These can be very heightened because it's your daughter or your son is pulling at their hair or their skin. So what would you do if they had diabetes? How would you help them? What would you do if they had cancer? God forbid. How would you help them? You love them because they're your children, with or without hair, and with or without skin. Well, not skin, but with or without wounds. So just fill yourself up, remind yourself, deep breathing. We're here as a resource. We'll create some communities, and we're all in it together. So I am going to share. This is my very first one. So I'm going to figure out how to record and share and do and everything. And I will be back with all of you. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing Friday with me. This was just so awesome. I feel so motivated and so encouraged to be able to help you. And if anybody needs help with their Keen bracelet, email me. My email is right down there. I'll send you a link to set up a Zoom call so that there's a video, and we'll figure it out.